Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. I'm delighted to be joined by Roman Fury. Roman, it's not the first time we've spoke. I actually spoke to you, I believe, at Wembley for the press conference for Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, and you made it quite clear on that day, look, I'm going to be bouncing into this game at some point. Since then, 2-0. Talk to me. Have you found this professional game so far? Are you enjoying it?
You know what, I'm loving it. And, I'm from where I've come from, I think each day is a blessing. Don't get me wrong, it's a tough sport. It's the hardest sport in the world, in my opinion. Every day's a grind. I'm in camp at the minute with Tommy, and it's by far the fittest I've ever been, but it's also the hardest I've ever trained. But yeah, waking up loving it, and I can't wait to see how it progress. I think it's just a matter of time with me, letting things unfold and getting these good cards and good fights, but it's all to come, I'm sure.
Now look, I read something about you. You had a scholarship to become a rugby league player. So why boxing? Why did you end up bouncing into this? It's almost like a family trade you've had from John and passed down. Why did you bounce over to a sport that's so brutal when you already were proficient in another one?
Yeah, so with me, it's kind of like a saviour to my life. I've told my backstory a few times now, but I was quite a bit overweight, and boxing saved my life, mentally and physically. I did rugby, yes, when I was a child from 8 up until 16, and I was at a good level, but I just lost interest in that, and I knew that it isn't what I wanted to do. And anyone will tell you when you're doing something that you're not interested in, it becomes hard work. So I thought, I'm young, I want to find something that I can do and enjoy, so it don't feel like work, and I've been blessed to find boxing. But it's not one of them things that I've naturally just gone into it like the rest of my brothers. I've had to go through the lowest of lows to get to that point, and boxing's given me that chance of where I'm at now, which is a good life and chance for greatness, isn't it? So I'm just happy and over the moon every day that I get to do this.
Well, look, with your name, I always feel like it carries pressure no matter what. Now, you've been surrounding yourself with, obviously, your father John, who's larger-than-life character, Tyson, we know what he's done, and Tommy. Being around everyone, do you think that the things that you've experienced helps you now for what you're trying to do? Do you think seeing how, obviously, they've handled different pressures, like Tommy had the weight of the boxing world on his back, as well as his family's name and everything that was said in the build-up, do you think seeing all that helps you prepare you for this part of your life, for this journey? Because boxing can be a lonely sport, but you've had the benefit of seeing different people at different parts of the career and the advantages of knowing certain things.
I think that's a massive advantage for me, that I have over maybe my two brothers. The fact that I've been around them, I've been around the biggest stages with Tyson and Tommy with the Jake Paul fight, and I've seen how they handle it, and I've picked up on things and I've learned how to cope in that situation, So that's definitely an advantage for me, where I may lack in, experience, I've gained in being around the best in the world. So I'm sure that'll put me in good stead over my opponents for when I do get in them big position fights. And of course, any advice that I want, anything that I'm having trouble with, I'm just on the phone to them, and I'm not going to get any better advice anywhere else, am I?
You sort of led me on to my next question, because I ask a lot of people this, prospects mainly, people who are just a couple of fights deep or who've had the benefit of an experienced fighter in the corner. What's the best bit of advice you've had? And I don't mean like throw a jab, left hook, that kind of stuff. What's the best bit of advice you've had about this boxing game, either be it from John, Tyson, whoever it is? Yeah,
my dad said it. He said boxing is 80% between the ears and 20% in the gym. And I've seen the case with a load of good fighters in the gym, the world class, and when they get under the lights, something happens to them and they can't hack it. So what I've been focusing on, as well as my boxing training, is controlling my mind, my mindset, remaining calm, and going in there and being confident of my ability, And I think self-confidence is what you need in this game. Even when everyone can say one thing, if you're sure of yourself and what you're going to do, that'll take you far. So, yeah, the best piece of advice is that keep focused, keep calm, and keep self-belief.
How have you found things so far? We mentioned earlier, 2-0. Just said your feet wet. You're down as a cruiserweight. You've revealed to me potentially stepping up. Is that the plan, bouncing up to heavyweight?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't see much difference in cruiserweight and heavyweight, so if I'm going for it with the big boys, I might as well properly go for it, But don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm a small heavyweight. I'm 15.5 stone now, and I'm the fittest I've ever been, when I've been down at cruiserweight and been at lighter weight. So we'll see how I go, but I feel strong and I feel ready, and I know for a fact that the extra weight's going to be at my advantage when I get in the ring, because I just feel strong and I'm punching harder than I've ever punched.
with obviously the weight at heavyweight, because you don't have to hit that target weight or boil yourself down and get them extra few pounds off. Have you found now that you're making that decision that you have got that bit of extra energy, that the punches in the gym, the sticking, or that you feel that extra bit of power? Because that tends to happen when you see it moving up in weights.
Definitely. I mean, from my last fight, I was basically starving myself to get down to the 14.7 that I had to make. You know, I weren't eating, and and that's obviously going to mess with your energy levels. But for this fight, if I'm feeling low, I'll have a cake, and you know what, it does you a world of good. And I'm not going to lie, that's one of the reasons why I've decided to move to heavyweight. The fact that I can be a little bit more lenient with my diet. But that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not doing everything right. I'm doing everything right still, eating plenty of good food. But you know, when I feel like I need a cake to pick me up, I have it, you know, and it does make a big difference.
I was going to say, you won't be worried about, you know, missing your favourite foods. You can sort of jump in and jump out sensibly, of course. What is it for you in boxing? You know, you see, obviously you've had the advantage of seeing, we mentioned Tyson, about how from a young kid he always thought, I'll be world champion. He's been there, he's done that. Tommy's obviously coming through. There's this new wave of boxing now, and he's bounced over to the YouTube side, doing very well, got a big fight coming up against KSI. But what is it for you? What is going to signify achievement? Because you said you've not had this, you know, blistering amateur thing. You've not been, you know, sort of had that hyped up. You just said, look, I'm bouncing into this sport. This is what's happening. What do you want out of it?
Yeah, you know, I feel like if you're going to do anything, do it wholeheartedly. And you know, when I first got into boxing, I made a promise to myself that I wanted to win a British title. You know, and that's still a massive thing. But like you've said, you know, I think the boxing game's changing now with all the YouTube scenes and the crossover boxing, and I think them fights are, you know, bigger than, you know, pretty much all the World Championship professional fights. So I definitely want to get into that scene, but it's just a question of finding anyone to fight me, you know. I messaged Salt Papi, he ain't got back to me, so...
Salt Papi?
Yeah, 100%, I want a piece of him. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a great boxer, you know, for his experience, but yeah, I'd love to get in the ring with Salt Papi. Messaged him, he ain't got back to me, so Salt Papi, if you can find your balls, come and fight me on one of these cards.
Yeah, it looks like he's sorted himself out as well. He started off quite well. I know I think he thought Anthony Taylor and came up short, but looks like he's got his body in the right place. So do you see your future on both sides, or do you see it on just the YouTube side? Because I've got a feeling like people keep writing Tommy off saying he's going to stick on that side now. Why would he not? He's making a lot of money. Hard to sort of then bounce back to fight an English champion, a British champion, because the money ain't the same. And no matter what you do, if you put in that effort and you want to get paid. So for you, what is it? Is it we'll see how it goes, let's try and get that British title? What is it?
No, I'd like to do both, you know. When the big fights come on the crossover scene, I'd love to do that. I'll grab that with both hands, but at the same time, I still have ambitions. And, you know, you're remembered in the history books by what you achieve, and that comes through titles, and I definitely want to do that side of the game as well. But when there's money to be made, there's money to be made, isn't it? So I definitely want to go through, you know, these YouTubers. But the thing is, it's finding them that's my weight. I don't believe there's an awful lot of people that's heavyweight out there or cruiserweight.
You might have to knock a bit off.
I might have to, but you know what, I'd be willing to. I've heard Chase Dimore. You know, I think he's absolutely useless, and I'd love to get in the ring with him. But yeah, I don't mind coming down. But you know, I've had Anthony Taylor call me out a few times. But the thing is, that'd be like third-rate child abuse.
You're different. You're much bigger.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? I think he wanted me to get down to 12 stone. I'm 15.5 stone now. I think that's just impossible.
Wouldn't get sanctioned.
No, but
under any jurisdiction.
If he wants to, you know, commit suicide and come up to, you know, maybe 14 stone or something like that, I'd happily kick his ass as well. But you know, I can't see that happening.
Well, look, how important has your family been on this journey? Like in terms of John, as a trainer, as a father, what's his influence been like over you in terms of in this ring, honing your craft and trying to, you know, improve your skills and improve that skill set that you've got? How important has that been?
Yeah, it's been very important. Of course, anyone will say if you have the support of your family, you're going to go further than if you didn't, you know. And he's a very knowledgeable man. You know, he's been around the game a very long time. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't know his name in the boxing scene.
On both sides of it as well.
Exactly. And he'll tell you yourself, he's been around all the boxing gyms, and what he's done is he's got knowledge from all different types of training, and he's mixed it into one, and that's what we've got, you know. So I feel like I've got a very knowledgeable coach there in the corner, teaching me the side of things.
When are we next back out? What's the next step for you? There's some big cards coming up. Obviously, Tyson's in Saudi. It'd be great to see you on a big card like that. What is next for you? You had any word?
Yeah, so I'm just waiting to hear back on confirmation, but it is looking likely to be the 30th of September on the Caroline Dubois undercard at York Hall again, funnily enough.
I'm there for that one.
Yeah, so I'll be glad to get back there if it happens, but if not, I'm trying to get on the 14th. It's just finding an opponent, isn't it? So anyone that's interested, who wants to get on that show, inbox me and we'll get it on.
Absolutely. Look, have you got a message for the fans on what they can expect to see from you next? You've had obviously 2 fights so far. I've seen a lot of you. Seen that style you come out of, put the shoulder in front. What can fans expect to see in this 3rd fight? What can we expect?
Fans can expect to see a better version of myself. Don't forget, I've only had 2 fights ever in my life, and I'm nowhere near the finished article. So it's good to see people likening me to Tyson. It's not a bad compliment, is it? But once I start really sitting down on my shots and getting more comfortable in there and gaining experience, I feel like every fight you're going to see a better and better version of myself. It's just a case of following me and going on the journey with me, because it's going to be one hell of a ride, that's for sure. And I'm going for it. I'm 100% going for it. No stone unturned. I want these big fights, and let's see what happens.
Well, look, I just want to sign off on this. I'm going to get 2 predictions from you. You're saying you're out soon. Tommy and KSI, what happens?
I think it's going to be... I know I said it last time for the Jake Paul fight, but I think pressure had something to do with that. But for this fight, definitely a lot of pressure. But for this fight, he's going to be a lot more relaxed, knows what to expect. I can't see it going above 3 rounds, and that 3 rounds is very generous. I feel like as soon as he touches him, it's going to be all over. And don't forget, he's a lot smaller than Tommy naturally. You've seen it at the weigh-in. He's a lot smaller, so I can't wait for it.
And quickly, Tyson and Ngannou. It's a bit of a random one. I'm asking you what you expect. I'm not going to say who you think's going to win. Look, #1 heavyweight in the world, #1 MMA fighter, heavyweight in the world. Obviously, believe Tyson will win. How does he win? In what fashion?
I expect fireworks. That's one thing for sure. Ngannou's a hell of a strong man. He's rough, and he's not afraid to have a scrap, is he? And I think Tyson might go in with the mindset, give the fans what they want. He might have a tear up with him, but I expect Tyson, just box his head off if he wants to. But Tyson being Tyson, I think he'll go in there for a tear up, please the Saudi crowd and please all of us. Wouldn't that be great? But one thing sure, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Can't wait.
You want to see him fight Usyk?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of commotion around it, isn't there? But I think after Usyk's past performance, the balloon's been kind of deflated a little bit, because in my opinion it was a stoppage, and he's give away his weakness, hasn't he? So if that happens, I just see an alien stoppage, to be honest with you.
Well, look, Roman, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up. We look forward to seeing you back. Touch wood for you. It'll be 3-0, bouncing into the heavyweight scene. And yeah, we look forward to catching up with you a little bit more as your journey progresses. So appreciate you talking to Boxing Social, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you very much. God bless.